What's going on, everybody? This is John, and you're watching Super Positive Games. This is my recap of the Game Awards 2023. They just happened last night. It's been a while. I think it's been like 2 years since I've covered the Game Awards here in a video, but I'm back and I'm doing it. It was a long show as always. I'm going to start off with the awards themselves. They are the most important thing of the event. We wouldn't have the Game Awards without the awards and without all of the developers that make all these games possible. So we're starting with the awards, and then we're going to shift over to the announcements. So if you're looking for the announcements, I'll put a little thing down there that you could jump to. But for now, I'm going to be running through the esports stuff all in one go. Starting that off, Content Creator of the Year goes to Iron Mouse. Best Esports Event 2023 League of Legends World Championship. Best Esports Coach, Potter. Best Esports Team is JD Gaming. Best Esports Athlete is Faker. Best Esports Game is Valorant. For the rest of these, I'm going to be going through each and every nomination before spilling the beans on the winner. Player's Voice. This is the one that's, I believe, 100% fan voted, as all the other awards are voted by Games Press and Games Media. Player's Voice, we had Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty, Genshin Impact, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Personally, I don't really think Cyberpunk's DLC should be up for any awards, frankly. It's a DLC at the end of the day. I think they should have a best DLC of the year for sure. That would be cool to see. But as a DLC, I'm just not sure that it belongs with all the new 2023 games. I digress. Baldur's Gate 3 took home Player's Voice. Baldur's Gate 3, which, by the way, also shadow dropped immediately after the show last night on Xbox. I've been wanting to play that since August when it came out. Finally out. It's a 150-hour game. It's like 160 gigabytes. I don't care. I think maybe today or tomorrow I might begin my journey in Baldur's Gate 3. So it was awesome to see that shadow drop right after the show, immediately after the show. And we'll talk about how that happened at the very end. But congrats to Baldur's Gate 3, the first of many awards for this game. Next, most anticipated game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8. I believe I voted for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I really have been loving the Like a Dragon series. I loved Ishin back earlier in the year. I'm playing Gaiden now. So yeah, I'm preparing myself for Infinite Wealth early next year. Star Wars Outlaws looks cool as well, but I'd like to see some more of that. I think it's supposed to come out next year. Tekken 8, I thought about getting into Tekken 8. I never played a Tekken. I got really big into Street Fighter this year, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff around Tekken 8 coming out early next year, Like a Dragon included. So I'm not sure, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the most anticipated game for next year, or I think it's just the future, kind of. I don't know if this category is specifically just for 2024 stamped games, but best adaptation, Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us, Super Mario Brothers, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Twisted Metal. I believe I've only seen the Mario movie out of all of these. I should get around to seeing Gran Turismo. That has my interest, but The Last of Us, the TV series, took home best adaptation. Innovation in accessibility, Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6. Forza Motorsport took home the Innovation in Accessibility Award. The best multiplayer game, this was a strange one this year. We had Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Not a lot of like your traditional first-person shooter or just shooter-y multiplayer games here at all, really. I don't think there's one. I'm not familiar with Baldur's Gate 3's multiplayer. I know Diablo 4 is really has multiplayer at like the center of what it does cooperatively, and it has like a PvP area or several of them. I believe Party Animals is like a kind of gang beasts like beat 'em up party game. Street Fighter 6 is a full on fighting game, obviously, and then Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I don't know what multiplayer entails for that, if it's like co-op or if you're competing or whatever, but a strange category this year. Not a lot of like the traditional types of games that usually are nominated, but Baldur's Gate 3, of course, took home the best multiplayer game. Best sports / racing game, EA Sports FC 24, formerly known as FIFA, F1 2023, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, and the Crew Motorfest. And Forza Motorsport took home Best Sports / Racing. I haven't jumped into that yet. I've been really excited to get into a more simmy type of thing, get kind of nerdy with it, learn my way around a car. You know what I mean? But probably later this month, I'll end up checking that out. Next, the best sim / strategy game. We got Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, Cities Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4. And Pikmin 4 is the best sim strategy game. Best family game, Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder took home best family game. Also, just to note, Disney Illusion Island does look really cool. It has a really neat art style, just like I don't think there's any combat in it. It's just kind of platforming and puzzle solving, I believe. So I might end up checking that out at some point in the future. Best fighting game is up next. God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. I hands down voted for Street Fighter 6 here, and it did win. I did also play Mortal Kombat 1 when it came out. Pretty interesting story. I think it falls apart gruesomely at the very end. But with Street Fighter 6, I got really deep into, deep is a relative term here. I didn't get like hardcore, but like I got into the battle hub and having a collection of characters that I main and finding success with that. Mortal Kombat 1, I don't think I touched the online multiplayer of that. And I think it mainly has to do with the control scheme. I love the modern control scheme that Street Fighter 6 had, and so I got way more into the multiplayer of that, as opposed to Mortal Kombat 1's just classic directional input kind of deal, which I don't really love as much. It's fine for button mashing, but if I want to get really into the move sets and dive deep into maining a character, especially online where you're going to get your ass beat even if you do that, it's tough to do. Anyway, Street Fighter 6 best fighting game. Next, best role-playing game, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. This is the only category that Starfield was nominated in. I quite enjoyed it. I got past its kind of clunky nature with the loading screens and the fast traveling. And once I did that, kind of settling into that world, I just kind of fell in love with Starfield, especially really my first half of my 130 hours in it. I adored, and I do think it did deserve a couple of other categories to be nominated in, namely best score in music, but we'll get to that. I don't believe Lies of P. I wouldn't call Lies of P. I played the entire thing. It's a great game. I don't think I would call it a role-playing game. I think it's just like a Souls-like. I don't think Souls-like's the traditional From Software style Dark Souls-like. I wouldn't call those RPGs. But it ended up getting nominated. Sea of Stars is one. I just didn't have time to play this year. So many other things going on. So many other games to enjoy, and it's one that I really would like to get into in the future. But Baldur's Gate 3, of course, took home best role-playing game. Who else? What else? I think that was like hands down, or one of the many locks that Baldur's Gate 3 it locked in. I don't think anything else really had a chance in best RPG. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Best action adventure game. Alan Wake 2, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I believe I voted for Star Wars Jedi Survivor here. I absolutely adore that game, mainly for its narrative, but its gameplay, combat, and level design are all also superb. I also really enjoyed Resident Evil 4. Not as much as more recent Resident Evil games like RE2 or Village, but it was really still a solid time. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom took home Best Action / Adventure Game. I believe that was one of 2 awards that it took home. I think that is Tears of the Kingdom's only win of the night. Surprisingly, you would think it would be sweeping, but with other games like Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate in the mix, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom only takes home Best Action / Adventure. Best Action Game: Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2. I played maybe half of Armored Core 6 before being pulled away to other games. Shout out to Dead Island 2. A solid action game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Ghost Runner 2, I didn't end up getting around to, and I don't believe I will by the end of the year with everything, with Baldur's Gate 3 out now on Xbox. I just don't think I'm getting around to that this year. But Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon is your best action game of 2023. Next, best VR / AR game: Gran Turismo 7, Humanity, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil Village VR Mode, and Synapse. And Resident Evil Village VR Mode takes home best VR / AR game. Shout out to Resident Evil Village, by the way, my game of the year of 2021. Best mobile game: Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Honkai Star Rail, Hello Kitty Island Adventure, Monster Hunter Now, and Terra Nil. And Honkai Star Rail is the best mobile game of the year. Best community support: Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, not 16, and No Man's Sky. We'll get to No Man's Sky later in the video, but Baldur's Gate 3 won best community support. I would have thought Cyberpunk 2077 would have taken it home, even aside from the DLC, which I mentioned earlier. The 2.0 update that they put out alongside that, from what I hear from people who've played it, is like substantial, and the journey, how far that game has come since 2020, pretty impressive. So I do think it should have earned best community support, but Baldur's Gate 3 took it home. Best ongoing game: Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. I don't think Cyberpunk 77 is an ongoing game, right? It got its DLC and it got its major update, and I think that's it for it. I think CD Projekt Red's moving on. Unlike all these other actual live service ongoing platform type games, Fortnite, Genshin, Apex Legends, like those are like ongoing games. Cyberpunk, I wouldn't call that an ongoing game. It's an RPG that has received a major DLC and major updates over the past several years, but I don't think it's a live service game, but it did win the award for best ongoing game. So congrats, Cyberpunk 2077. Best debut indie game: Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Venba, and Viewfinder. Out of these, I've only played Dredge, but I have serious plans of playing Cocoon, at least starting it in the next week. This is something, it's made by former developers of Limbo and Inside from Play Dead Games. It looks like a really nice puzzle game. It's been a while, I feel, since I played a really good puzzle game. So I'm definitely getting around to it by the end of the year, probably next week. And I did play Dredge, awesome fishing type game, but Cocoon is your best debut indie game, studio's very first, and it won. Best independent game: Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. Sea of Stars took home the best independent game. Games for Impact, A Space for the Unbound, Chance of Sonar, Goodbye Volcano High, Chia, Terra Nil, and Venba. I didn't play any of these, but if I were to play one, I definitely have my eyes on Goodbye Volcano High. Seems like my type of game. But Chia took home the award for Games for Impact. Up next, Best Performance. We've got Idris Elba as Solomon Reed in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Melanie Liebert as Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2, Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Neil Newbin as Astarion in Baldur's Gate 3, and Ben Starr as Clive Rossfield in Final Fantasy 16. I believe I voted for Cameron Monaghan, as at the time of voting I hadn't beaten Alan Wake 2 yet, but both awesome in performances. Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis. I love the journey from kind of emo, brooding Cal from Fallen Order, and now he's a little bit more grown up. A great narrative all around for Jedi Survivor, but Cameron's performance there was awesome. And shout out to Melanie Liebert as Saga Anderson. Alan Wake 2 was awesome as well. But Neil Newbin as Astarion won for Baldur's Gate 3. He had an awesome speech, although cut way too short. I do think that is a problem for the Game Awards still, is not allowing these developers and actors in this case to give long speeches. That is what the show is all about. I understand you have to show ads to be able to fund the thing, and you need to have a lot of awesome announcements to be able to get eyes on the show. But I do think the Game Awards in the future, let's kind of give the people behind these games more time to shine there. But congratulations to Neil Newbin and Baldur's Gate 3 for taking home yet another award. Onward to Best Audio Design: Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4. I do think Dead Space, I think this was one of the only awards it was nominated for. I do think it had a decent shot for audio design, being like an intense kind of sci-fi horror game. Awesome sound design in that game. But Hi-Fi Rush took home Best Audio Design. That's a really fun game. I wasn't in love with Hi-Fi Rush as much as seemingly everybody else was, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Has really great music. But yeah, congrats on the win for Best Audio Design for Hi-Fi Rush. New IP from Tango Gameworks. You'll love to see it. Best Score and Music: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I do believe Starfield should have made this list for Best Score and Music. Starfield, when you're just out on a planet and you're exploring and the music starts coming in, in those really quiet moments, that music starts coming in and it just hits on just some random planet. Also, the main theme is really good. Yeah, I do love Starfield's music, but it wasn't nominated. Instead, these games were, and Final Fantasy 16 is the winner for Best Score and Music. Best Art Direction: Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Lies of P, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Alan Wake 2 took this one home, and it is absolutely spot on. What Remedy does, their style is so unique. You don't see any video games doing what they do in terms of art style, in terms of the fonts that they use, the lighting that they use, the environments. Exploring Coffee Town and Watery and that whole misty kind of fishing village vibe. Incredible. And then what they did in the Dark Place with Alan Wake himself in that kind of New York City noir type setting. Awesome stuff, Alan Wake 2. Lies of P, shout out there as well. But yeah, congrats to Alan Wake 2 for the Best Art Direction. Moving on now to Best Narrative: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I believe Star Wars Jedi Survivor was mega snubbed here in Best Narrative. One of the best narratives I've ever played, I believe. I'm not going to go into spoilers for Jedi Survivor, but it is a absolute ride. Also, a big snub, Like a Dragon Ishin, has also one of the best narratives I think I've ever played, like next to Red Dead Redemption 2. That was a mega snub, but I don't think it had a shot. I don't think it had enough eyes on it, Like a Dragon Ishin, to be able to be nominated for Best Narrative here. But I do think Jedi Survivor did have enough eyes and people in games community who played it, and I do think it should have made it here. But Alan Wake 2 won Best Narrative. Which surprised me. I thought Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk 27 Phantom Liberty. I've heard incredible things. Of course, Cyberpunk 77's base story blew my mind back in 2020. And from what I hear about Phantom Liberty, that's also incredible narratively. So I do think Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, and even I think Final Fantasy could have had this on lockdown here. But Alan Wake 2 came away with it at the end of the day. And I do think it's deserving. It's a story that's very, very confusing, but I think if you embrace it and just let go of trying to make sense of it, especially in Alan Wake's dark place, just let go and let it wash over you. And whatever you pick up, and you just run with it. And it's kind of like you kind of experience it in that way instead of trying. And you could go deep and try and like figure out every little Easter egg and what every little thing means. And there is depth for that for people who want to do that. But for me, I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to experience it as it is. Alan Wake 2. We're in the home stretch of the awards right now. Only 2 left. Best Game Direction, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Alan Wake 2 ran away with this one. Congratulations to Sam Lake, who I think is the writer and also the director. Don't quote me on that. And he also starred in it as Alex Casey, and he also came on stage during the Old Gods of Asgard performance to do his dance number. Shout out to that Sam Lake. What a character there. And congratulations to Alan Wake 2, Best Game Direction. One of many awards the game has won. We're down to the last one, though. It's the Game of the Year. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So here, I think I was surprised, very surprised, to see Resident Evil 4 make it for Game of the Year, especially considering all the other games like Armored Core 6, like Hogwarts Legacy, which didn't get nominated for anything, like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think there were a ton and Starfield, of course. I do believe Starfield should have made it in place of Resident Evil 4. At the end of the day, it didn't matter, because guess who won Game of the Year? Baldur's Gate 3. That is Baldur's Gate 3's, if I'm counting here in real time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins for Baldur's Gate 3 at the Game Awards. Yeah, I think it was between Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and I think Alan Wake 2, right near the end of the year, snuck into that top 3 kind of realm up there with Baldur's Gate and Zelda. I don't think Marvel's Spider-Man 2 or Mario Bros. Wonder had a chance here. I definitely didn't think Resident Evil 4 had a shot at all for Game of the Year. I was surprised to see it even make it on. And I think if Starfield made it here as well, I don't think that had a chance either. It was really between Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, and Zelda. and Baldur's Gate took it home. I'm excited to jump into that. I just want to do a quick count here for Alan Wake 2. I'm interested to see how many Alan Wake had. Alan had 1, 2, 3. That's it. Only 3 for Alan Wake 2. I think it was the most nominated game at the Game Awards, I believe. It won Best Art Direction, Best Narrative, and Game Direction. So, congratulations to all those games, especially Baldur's Gate 3, for taking home the big one. Again, I just wish these developers had more time to go and do their acceptance speeches, and I wish more of the categories had moments. A lot of them were done kind of off to the side in quick succession. So hopefully in future Game Awards, we see Jeff Keighley kind of tweak that a little bit to give these games and their creators more time in the limelight. You know what I mean? Now, it's time to get into some of these announcements. We're going to start off with the pre-show, and we're going to roll right through to the main show. First and foremost, pre-show, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake, coming February 28th to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. This is an interesting one. This is Joseph Ferris's team, which, where the hell was Joseph Ferris last night? He's been a staple. He's made an appearance in every Game Awards since like 2017. This was, believe the first time he's ever missed it since he's had that moment, that fuck the Oscars moment back in 2017 or 18, I believe. Surprised to not see him there, but he's got his new game, or actually an old game, a remake of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, coming early next year. Like, that's kind of cool. That's, the studio behind A Way Out, and It Takes Two. It Takes Two actually won Game of the Year 2 years ago. But yeah, I think I might give it a shot. We'll see. There's a lot coming out around February 28th. So we'll see about that. But awesome to see that getting a remake. It's a great game. I played it a while ago. Pony Island 2 Panda Circus, coming out 2025/6. This is from the creator of Inscription, a really interesting horror type game that incorporates kind of FMV and all these other weird, creepy things. This looks like an absolute trip. The title itself, Pony Island 2 Panda Circus, tells you all you need to know. But that trailer was really awesome, really strange and surreal, and the game looks visually really cool. 2025/6. It's a year. It's 2 years away, and hopefully that comes to consoles. There were a lot of sequences in that trailer that looked very like mouse and keyboard centric. It took Inscription a while, I believe like 2 years to come to consoles. So yeah, that was one of the highlights, one of my favorite trailers of the night. The Rise of the Golden Idol, coming to Xbox, PS4, and 5, Switch, PC, and Netflix. It's not clear if that's also on Xbox One or just Series X and X, or X and S. But that was just a little reveal trailer. Usual June got a reveal trailer. It's coming out 2025. That one doesn't have any platforms, but it looks like a fun combat game, third person, kind of cartoony art style. I was kind of into it. The animations look really well done. Harmonium the Musical, coming to Xbox Game Pass and Netflix. Windblown, coming to PC Early Access in 2024. Thrasher is coming out in 2024. That is, I think, a follow-up to Thumper, I believe, from, I think, 2016. I'm not familiar with Thumper or Thrasher or any of that, but I heard that was like a beloved game, Thumper, and this is kind of like a follow-up coming next year. Next, Persona 3 Reload, of course, has got like a new, I believe a new trailer. I don't know if it was an old trailer that they were showing, but it got a trailer that I've never seen before for Persona 3 Reload, coming out February 2nd for Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. Again, I'm not clear if that includes Xbox One there, but I never played a Persona game. I bought Persona 5 when it came to Xbox last year, but I have not started. It's like a 300-hour game. But Persona 3 Reload, I am interested in. It's a full-blown remake from the ground up. Again, it's coming early February. There's a lot of other games dropping in that January, February time frame. So we'll see what happens in terms of me playing it. Dave the Diver cross dredge, a little crossover between two of the best independent game awards. They were both up for best debut indie as well as best independent game, as we spoke of earlier, but they're crossing over in Dave the Diver, so dredge stuff is coming to Dave the Diver. It's pretty fitting. They both have to do with like the sea and the ocean and diving and fishing and whatnot. That's coming December 15th on Switch and PC, what Dave the Diver is already on. I'd love to get Dave the Diver over on Xbox. I've heard some great things about it. Would be cool to play that. World of Goo 2 coming out in 2024. I don't think I've ever heard of World of Goo 1, but apparently it's this big deal indie game. And then to close out the pre-show, a little new trailer on Atlas's, so the team behind the Persona 3, 4, and 5 games, their new game, Metaphor Re Fantasio, coming out fall 2024 for Xbox Series X and PC. So that's a new little tidbit of knowledge there. It was just 2024. Now we know to expect it in the fall. That's another one. It's very Persona-like, I guess, from what I could tell. I've never played a Persona game, but it's by the same people, and it looks similar to what I've seen from Persona 5, Persona 3, and stuff like that. It's kind of like a more steampunk-y, I think, type of style, but I'm into it. The story that the narrative bits that they were showing off there. Supposedly the Persona games and the studio is known for great narratives and great characters. I'm all about that. So I might be into Metaphor later next year. That closes out the pre-show. Let's get into the main show here. Now there were a lot of ads. Thankfully, they were easier to tell this year which segments were advertisements and which were actual like part of the show. Reveals, because in past years it was really tough to tell. This year I think they did a better job of just like, hey, we'll be right back after this, or better indicating what's ads and what's not. So I didn't include every ad. I just included here ones that were notable or gave out new information about games. So to start off, we have Exodus coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. It's a kind of third-person sci-fi shooter type of deal with what looks like a solid narrative and solid characters going on in that kind of cinematic opener. It looks cool, but I'd like to see some more of that. No release window on that. Then God of War Ragnarok came out with the Valhalla DLC. It's going to be free, and it's coming out December 12th, just next week. God of War Ragnarok, of course, a big PlayStation exclusive. It was the talk of the town last year. Really, I remember when the Game of the Year race was just between Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. This year, thankfully, there were a ton of games that you could consider Game of the Year. But yeah, Elden Ring and God of War were the big two last year, duking it out at the Game Awards. Obviously, Elden Ring took it home. But yeah, God of War Ragnarok fans, there you go. DLC, free December 12th. Big Walk coming out 2025. That's from the team behind Untitled Goose Game. House is the developer. This looks like a kind of shared world, really goofy looking situation where it's like a kind of realistic setting and environment, but the characters are these kind of cartoony, goofy looking, like shape characters, like really colorful looking characters. And I think it's just kind of a chill, relax with your friends type of thing. That's the kind of game that Untitled Goose Game was, just like a chill type of experience. You sit back, maybe you do a couple of the fun little silly objectives, but you mess with the townspeople and whatnot, you have fun. This looks like it's in a similar vein, Big Walk. Next was an ad for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It got a new story trailer. There's a lot of characters. They showed a lot of shots with like this group of 8 to 10 different characters. I'm really interested in that. Of course, It's coming out January 18th for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, Amazon Luna, and PC. Every device under the sun. So yeah, that's one that I'm excited to get into. I've never played a Prince of Persia game. This looks like a really awesome 2D action platformer experience with what looks like an interesting narrative and a lot of characters. Sign me up for that. Next, Ninja Theory came out with Senua Saga Hellblade 2, a brand new trailer. This time finally showing off the actual sword combat. Of course, it's coming 2024 to Xbox Series X and S, PC, and also be available on Game Pass. So finally, we get to see combat of this game. It looks incredible visually. It's gorgeous. Senua Saga, I've been saying this for years, but like Xbox has had a gap in their first-party portfolio that they filled a lot with a lot of RPGs with the Bethesda deal, but they still kind of have a gap in terms of third-person narrative-based action-adventure games that Sony specializes in. So Hellblade 2 is going to, fill that gap a little bit here for Xbox, and it looks incredible. The combat looks awesome. The way Senua screams as she swings the sword, the animations are so detailed and like varied, it looks like. And dodging, she's like dodging to the ground, and it just looks awesome. Striking an enemy with the sword kind of does like a little mini freeze, like a little freeze stutter. I'm not sure. I don't remember if the first game did that when you make contact with your sword. I believe it did. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'd rather have it be just like a smooth, normal swing. But to emphasize the strikes of the combat, it's like giving a little freeze every time the sword hits an enemy. But we'll see how that pans out. It was earlier at Xbox's summer showcase where it got the 2024 release window. Unfortunately, we didn't learn anything else. It's still stamped with that 2024 window here after this new trailer. But I'm thinking maybe just like last year, Xbox might do a developer direct in January or February and kind of laying out the release dates for Hellblade 2, Avowed, and some of the other stuff, some of the other first party stuff they might have coming. Yeah, super hyped. This is going to be awesome. And I do want to go back and replay that first game again. I think there's one achievement left for the collectibles that I want to go back and do. And just to get ready, refresh myself for the sequel here. It's going to be a big deal. Next, a new game named Komori got a reveal trailer. It didn't show any gameplay, but it's this really cool, like, I think parkour, like cinematic through like Japan. It looks awesome. It's one of like the coolest trailers of the show. No platforms or a release date on that one. I think when Jeff Keighley announced it, he said that it doesn't even have a publisher tied to it yet. So I think after that trailer, now it does. I don't know who, but I'm sure somebody has made contact with the developers and signed it up. Next, a game called No Rest for the Wicked got a reveal trailer coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. This one is the team behind... This is Moon Studios, the team behind Ori and the Blind Forest, as well as Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This trailer didn't interest me until the Moon Studios logo popped up, and then I kind of sat up a little bit. I was like, okay, hold on a minute. I loved Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It was one of my favorite games of 2020. So Moon Studios is... I got my eye on them, and this looks awesome. It's kind of a isometric kind of action RPG looking game. I don't know if it's a full-blown RPG. It might just be an isometric action game. But the art style looks stunning, and after I saw that Moon Studios logo pop up, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, because it looks like Ori dialed up to 11. So no release window attached to that, unfortunately. It might be another solid year or two before we learn anything more or see anything more or get a release window for that, but it looked pretty sick. Sega came out with a little trailer little trailer. It was a pretty substantial trailer because it included 5 different games in a single trailer. They are all kind of reboots / remakes of some of their older properties, some of them highly beloved. Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and more. So I know there are a lot of Crazy Taxi fans out there. I know there are a lot of people who love Jet Set Radio out there. So it seems like Sega is doing this kind of mass reboot of these older some of these older properties. Kind of cool to see. No other details, just that list of games, and I think also each one had gameplay footage attached. So there was gameplay in that trailer of most, if not all, of these games. So that's cool to see if you're a fan of any of these. I'm not personally. I'd be willing to give some of them a shot. But cool to see. No release windows for any of them, and no platforms either. But Sega showed up. Next, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I had to yell it. When you have an exclamation point in your title, I'm gonna scream it. You know why? Because I hate punctuation in game titles, movie titles, any other title. Keep it out. Because if you put it in, I'm gonna embarrass your game title by screaming it. Or if it's a question mark at the end, I'm going to ask it. I'm going to say the title like a question. So watch out, all you people out there naming your video games, because I'm coming for you. But Dragon Ball Sparking Zero coming out for Xbox, PS5, PC. It's not certain whether or not Xbox also means Xbox One and Series X and S, or if it's just X and S at this point. No release window attached to that one. Next, an interesting little collaboration here between Supermassive Games, the studio behind Until Dawn, and The Quarry, and also the Dark Pictures anthology. They're teaming up with the Dead by Daylight people to make the casting of Frank Stone come in 2024 to PC. I don't know who Frank Stone is. I think he might be a Dead by Daylight character, but this is like a standalone game, just like a single player narrative type of horror situation going on there between the Dead by Daylight devs, which I'm blanking on their name, and Supermassive. Visions of Mana come in 2024 to Xbox Series X and S, PS4 and 5, and PC. That one's strange because it's coming to PS4 and 5, but not Xbox One and Xbox Series. Strange one there, but Visions of Mana is supposedly a really beloved JRPG franchise. And it's cool that it's debuting on Xbox alongside PlayStation and PC. Next, Rise of the Ronin, coming March 22nd, 2024. That release date on that one. That one has been, I believe this is Team Ninja, published by Koei Tecmo. And I do think this is a PlayStation exclusive. It wasn't stated in the trailer, which is strange. Next up, this is a big moment here. Hideo Kojima came to the stage. Here is OD. This is this Project Overdose thing that kind of was rumored, I think, last year around the summertime. This is Kojima's game. So it turns out this is his game that he's partnering with Xbox Game Studios on. I know that was announced at last year's Xbox Summer Showcase, the team up with Kojima there. So here it is. This is OD. There's a couple of like high-profile Hollywood actors in there. Just close-ups of their faces as they're like screaming, and you could see in their eyes like someone opening or closing a door. It's really interesting trailer. But it was cool to see finally Kojima's Xbox Studios game finally come out. Jordan Peele joined him on stage with Jeff Keighley, and I believe it was rumored that Jordan Peele was working with Kojima on something, and this is it again. So again, a lot's being revealed about Kojima and his relationships with Xbox and Jordan Peele on OD. We've got some answers here, and it seems like this is going to be kind of like a movie type of experience with some gameplay. I'm not sure. It's really strange how he explained it on stage, but awesome to see finally a Kojima game made for Xbox with Jordan Peele. And Kojima also said there were other high-profile collaborators who are working with him on the game as well. He didn't name anybody else besides Jordan Peele, but he mentioned that. Really cool to see. Xbox showing up huge so far. You know what I mean? Hellblade 2 combat. Everybody's been dying to see what combat looks like in Hellblade 2. You got it. Everybody's dying to see what is Kojima working with Xbox for. OD is the answer. But we're not done with Xbox. More on them later. Next up, Jurassic Park Survival coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. This one looks interesting. It kind of, there was a little moment of gameplay toward the end of the trailer. It looks like I thought it was parkour. If you're signing me up for a first-person parkour game set in Jurassic Park, sign me up for that. I'm a huge fan of Mirror's Edge. I've been dying for an experience like that again. And I do like Dying Light a little bit. I don't like it as much as Mirror's Edge, but I've been dying for like a first-person parkour game. If that's what this is, which it kind of looked like it to me a little bit for a couple seconds there, holy shit, sign me up. But I think it's just a first-person kind of adventure game or action-adventure game or something along those lines. I'm not sure if it's parkour-centric or if it even has parkour at all, but interesting trailer. Whenever I see Jurassic Park in a video game trailer, I think it's like, I automatically think about like Jurassic Park Evolution, I think it's called, or some kind of park builder or city builder or whatever, or survival game or whatever. But this looked interesting to me. Next, Rocket Racing in Fortnite coming December 8th. This one's strange because it's not an actual game itself. It's a mode that's being added to Fortnite. Fortnite's becoming like this big platform now with not just the Battle Royale, but also like this Lego thing that they have now. It's, you know, all over the Game Awards with ads, and now this Rocket Racing thing. Don't ask me, okay? Don't ask me. I don't know. But moving on, this one was a pretty significant deal here. Black Myth Wukong, that Souls game that everyone's been talking about. It's this kind of unicorn game. Is it real? Is it not? For the past several years, it's based on like Chinese mythology. It's appeared here again. I think it was at Summer Game Fest as well, or Gamescom, one of those two earlier this year. But Black Myth Wukong, release date August 20th, 2024, and it's coming to Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. That's awesome to hear. August 20th. Big game, Black Myth Wukong, this awesome looking Souls-like. The art direction of this game looks incredible. Everything about this looks great. Whether or not it hits August 20, I don't know. This seems like the type of game that has a couple of release dates before it actually lands, if you know what I mean. Like it's this big game from Game Science, which is I believe a brand new developer, and I think they're also fully independent. And this is a huge, ambitious, AAA looking game, Souls-like. I think it gets pushed beyond August 20th. I don't think I see it landing there. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Because I'm there day one for this bad boy. But I don't know. It seems like that kind of game that slips several times before it actually comes out. But awesome to see it finally get a release date here. Black Myth Wukong. Next, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got a new gameplay trailer. That's, of course, coming out February 2nd to Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. This is one that I really don't have much of an interest in solely because it's a live service game. And the gameplay, I always thought it looked like Sunset Overdrive, but I just can't get behind it. You've got these superheroes or supervillains in the Suicide Squad, and all of them are just using guns. It's basically a third-person shooter with some traversal in Metropolis. And I'm just not... I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to play it day one or not. I don't know what to do with this game. Apparently, I think it had some kind of closed demo or something, or beta or something released like recently, like last week or something, and people are raving about it because the general sentiment around it was, this is kind of strange. It's a live service game, but I don't know. New trailer, February 2nd. There you go. Next, Warframe Whispers in the Walls. I think it's an update coming to Warframe December 13th for Xbox One, Series X and S, PlayStation 4 and 5, Switch, and PC. Then, this was an advertisement for Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, coming February 13th for Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. This is one I've had my eye on for a while. It's Don't Nod, the people behind Life is Strange, and we'll get to them again later. But the studio, Don't Nod, was also responsible for Vampire back in 2018, one of my favorite games of that year. Blew me away. And this looks like it's in that similar vein as Vampire, a kind of AAA-looking third-person action-adventure game. This was supposed to come out in November, but it got delayed to next year. I don't know if this is a new release date or not, if this is new info, but February 13th, sign me up. I love Don't Nod. I just played Jusant a month ago. That was really fun. The diversity of their games, they do a lot of different stuff. Their Life is Strange style stuff. They're more AAA looking action adventure games like Banishers, and then stuff like Jusant, which is looks like a traditional indie type of game, climbing game. Really fun game. Banishers, sign me up. Next, another ad for Ready or Not. It's the version 1.0 coming December 13th for PC. I don't know why I included this. I guess I really liked how the trailer looked. Ready or Not. I'm not ready. Are you? Tales of Kenzera Zhao, coming April 13th, 2024 to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Again, it doesn't specify if that's PS4 and or 5 or Xbox One and or Series X and S. Next, Lost Records. I just brought up Don't Nod a second ago. Here they are again. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, coming late 2024 to Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. This looks like a spiritual successor to Life is Strange. I'm a huge Life is Strange fan. This is not Life is Strange 3. This is a brand new thing based around music. I think it was like these teenagers in like the 1990s. There's like this awesome pop punk song playing. Looks like an absolute jam. I really like when Don't Nod kind of spins off from Life is Strange. Like a game like Tell Me Why, look back in 2020, that game looks like it could be a Life is Strange game. It has like the same art style and everything, but it's not. It's its own separate thing. Not a spin-off. It's not connected in any way, but I like when Don't Nod does that, where it's like they're known for Life is Strange, but they're going to do something that looks exactly like that, but it's in the same vein, but it's a completely separate thing. So Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, sign me up. Big fan of Don't Nod. Late 2024. Awesome stuff there. The first Berserker Kazan, coming Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. No release window on that. That looks like a kind of barbarian, Viking-ish kind of setting, but it's like a Souls-like. It's like a traditional type of Souls-like with that kind of third-person combat, but its art style kind of blew me away a little bit. It kind of looks realistic, but it's also, you could see when you look at the character design, it looks like 2D drawn and a really unique art style. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. Really cool looking. No release window on that, unfortunately. Then, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got a brand new trailer. Of course, it's coming out February 29th to PlayStation 5. In an interesting twist, Apex Legends came out and announced a crossover with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It'll be in Apex, and it's coming January 9th, so it was really interesting to see this trailer. Crypto from Apex Legends wielding like a giant buster sword. Apparently it's going to be like an event, so like a couple of skins based on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to Apex Legends. That's interesting. Honkai Star Rail got another trailer. Then an advertisement, this time for Skull and Bones. I believe this is new information, coming out February 16th. Get ready, mark your calendars for that one. This has been like a running joke. I think it was revealed in 2017. Development hell for year after year after year. Release dates, open betas getting pushed back. Oh my God, is it gonna finally come out on February 16th next year? I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to find out. I don't think I'm interested in Skull and Bones. I think it had a release date last year, like mid last year. It announced a late 2022, I think October or something release date, and then or September, got pushed out to 2023. Here we are, and now it's in 2024, February 16th. Skull and Bones. Hopefully, it finally does see the light of day. You know what I mean? At some point here. So hopefully it sticks the landing. Then a huge deal right now. Okay, get up out of your seat. I want you to stay. If you're listening to this right now, I want you to stand up wherever you are in your car. I don't care. I don't care. Stand up. Get out of your car and stand up for Arcane Studios, the squad behind Deathloop. Came out in 2021, but I played it last year. It came to Xbox. It was my second favorite game of last year, right behind Elden Ring. Arcane Leon is back with Marvel's Blade. This is a huge deal. For Xbox, they finally have their superhero. Now, the trailer did not come attached with the platforms, so it's kind of right now it's like a big debate of whether or not it's going to be an Xbox exclusive. My money is on absolutely. This is an Xbox-owned studio. It's going to I'm 99% sure this is going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. But Blade is going to, by Arcane Studios, and it was styled that same. I love Arcane's art style. It's a third-person action game. I don't know. Arcane specializes in stealth, and I love Arcane. They're one of my favorite studios in the industry for the stealth that they do in their games. Dishonored, I know that's Arcane Austin, but Deathloop had excellent stealth. I loved the stealth in Deathloop. I'm not sure if this third-person Blade game will feature stealth. I have never seen a Blade movie. I do plan to, of course, but from what I could tell, Blade kind of goes in guns blazing. So I'm not sure if stealth will play a role, if stealth gameplay will play a role here in Marvel's Blade, but this is really interesting. I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Arcane's very first third-person game. It's Xbox's first, I think it's Bethesda's first Marvel game ever. That's probably true. And it's also most likely Xbox's first Marvel game as well. So really interesting. There is no release date or release window for this. I assume it's going to be another couple years before we learn more. This was just a cinematic. So yeah, it's going to be like another year or two before we get more information, or more. I don't know. Before we get more information on Marvel's Blade by Arcane, Bethesda, and Xbox. Again, whether or not it's an exclusive is kind of up. It's technically up in the air right now because the trailer didn't have any platforms on it. But my money is on that it's exclusive. It is, at the end of the day, an Xbox game studio, Arcane Games. But awesome announcement. Xbox showed up and they showed out. Hellblade 2 Combat, OD with Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele, and now Marvel's Blade by Arcane Leon. Jesus Christ. And they also won 3 awards. Forza had 2 of them. Hi-Fi Rush with Best Audio Design. Xbox had a night. Really excited to see what this Marvel's Blade game is all about. Arcane, first ever. Awesome stuff. Next, the Last Sentinel got a trailer. I'm trying to think of what that game was. I'm not, in my mind, I don't remember what it looked like. But, that's one a former Rockstar Studios developer came to the stage and introduced The Last Sentinel. It was just a cinematic. It was this kind of futuristic android situation. Really cool protagonist, like fighting a bunch of robots and all that. It looked interesting. Last Sentinel. Then The first Descendant Summer 2024 coming to Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4 and 5, and PC. This looks really cool. It's a kind of action-adventure game. I think it had a demo back at Gamescom or Summer Games Fest. I don't remember. SGF and Gamescom kind of blend together to me because they take place like a month apart. So it's hard for me to remember what happened at what event. But the first Descendant, I have my eye on this one. The characters look really awesome. Would love to check that one out. Next, Zenless Zone Zero. I think that's the studio behind Genshin Impact. That got a new trailer coming 2024. Then Mecha Break. Looks like a kind of Armored Core-ish action game, like mech actions kind of thing. Getting a closed alpha coming soon to Xbox, PlayStation 5, and PC. Helldivers 2. This was an advertisement. Coming, of course, February 8th. I'm not sure if that's new info to PlayStation 5 and PC. Next, Warhammer 40,000 or 40K. I don't love the title. Space Marine 2, September 9th, 2024. That's new info. So we got a little bit of stuff going on August and September already. This is kind of rare to see now. Black Myth Wukong in late August. And, of course, Space Marine 2 here early September. We've got that kind of early fall situation starting to have some games attach themselves to it. It's kind of early for that at this point, but you love to see it. I have not played Space Marine 1, but I think I want to catch up to this because this looks badass, Space Marine 2. Then GTFO got a new trailer, something going on there. I think some kind of last DLC or whatever. I don't really follow that game. I don't know much about it, but the developers stayed on stage to announce a new game called Den of Wolves, which actually did look interesting. That was a cinematic trailer there. Then Exoborn got a reveal trailer coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. This one's kind of like a exosuit action game. It was a fully cinematic trailer, so I don't know what the gameplay's like, but it was like a exosuit in like the apocalypse, and there's like all these tornadoes and stuff going down. But Exoborn. Then Asgard's Wrath 2 coming December 15th. It's a VR game for Meta Quest. The Fallout TV series showed up with a little trailer. I'm a huge Fallout fan. Fallout 3 is my favorite game of all time. But I'm not really a TV person, so I don't think I'm going to watch this. But it looks interesting. It looks really cool. I think they're nailing the Fallout feel with like the classic music and the everything going on there with Fallout, the TV series. Light No Fire was up next. This is the new game from Hello Games, the studio behind No Man's Sky. This was a cool moment, showed the whole 10-year journey with No Man's Sky since it was announced to release and all the updates that it had over the years. Light No Fire is the next game from the studio, and supposedly it's going to be, instead of a whole universe and galaxy of planets, it's one single planet, but it's going to be detailed and like fully realized. So it's going to be like really ambitious thing where it's a truly like open world, fully explorable globe type of scenario, which sounds really, really cool. I think it's like procedurally generated, I think the trailer said. Don't quote me on that. Next, Stormgate got a new gameplay trailer. It's coming to Steam Early Access summer 2024. That's kind of a RTS, StarCraft kind of deal there. Another ad here. Guilty Gear Strive is getting a new character named Elephant Valentine on December 8th. We're in the home stretch now of the announcements. Final Fantasy 16 got a new trailer for 2 new DLCs. The first one, Echoes of the Fallen, is out now. And then the next one, the Rising Tide DLC, coming spring 2024 for all you Final Fantasy fans. There's a lot of Final Fantasy stuff going on this show, with 7 Rebirth getting a trailer and a performance, crossover with Apex Legends, and of course here, 2 DLC announcements here. One of them out now. Big night for Final Fantasy stuff. Then, this isn't really like an actual announcement, but the Alan Wake 2 developers came up on stage. I think it was for Best Game Direction, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it was. But they give their speech, which was too short. of course, give them more time. But before they left, one of them said that Alan Wake 2 New Game Plus coming December 11th with new story content called The Final Draft. So there you go. That wasn't like an actual trailer announcement. It was one of the developers during an award speech blurting it out. But I included it here because there you go. Alan Wake 2 New Game Plus, December 11th. Then, The Finals is a kind of extraction multiplayer shooter. It's out now. I think it's also free to play for Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. So that's one. I kind of want to check it out. Although right now I have too much going on in terms of video games. Baldur's Gate 3 just came out. Shadow dropped last night. So I think I'll give The Finals a shot. Free to play, why not? It's out now. Shadow drop. Yeah, I think I'll check that out. But we have one more announcement of the night. And it is going to be Monster Hunter Wilds coming in 2025 for Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation 5, and PC. This is a huge deal for the Monster Hunter world out there. Not Monster Hunter World. So I gave Monster Hunter World a shot back in 2018. Couldn't get into it, unfortunately. Couldn't get into it. This announcement for Monster Hunter Wilds, not really my thing. It's coming out in 2025. Maybe by then I might feel like giving it a shot. But right now, not really my type of thing. But it is a huge deal for Capcom and the Monster Hunter fans out there. Congrats on Monster Hunter Wilds. So that wraps up the Game Awards 2023 announcements. A lot of great stuff. A lot of great Xbox stuff coming out of this show. A lot of Don't Nod stuff. I love Don't Nod and what they do. They had a pretty solid night here. Highlights for me, Pony Island 2 Panda Circus. That looks really wild and interesting. Usual June kind of caught my attention. Metaphor Re Fantasio, learning about that game, fall 24 window. Sign me up for that. That combat trailer for Hellblade 2 was awesome. Still no release date on that. I have a feeling we might learn more about that in January or February. No Rest for the Wicked from Moon Studios. That looked awesome. OD by Kojima. Learning what that is. Great to see that. Jurassic Park Survival. If it is what I think it is, it could be awesome. First person Jurassic World. Hopefully a little bit of parkour. I might be crazy. Black Myth Wukong, August 20th was great to hear about. Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. I'm excited for that on February 13th. Lost Records Bloom and Rage from Don't Nod Entertainment. In the same vein of Life is Strange, sign me up for that right now, late 24. Marvel's Blade, Arcane showing up to the big house with a Marvel game. Who would have thought? And it just doesn't make sense. You don't think Arcane and Marvel. It's a crazy combination. Even the developers, there was a Marvel Games person up there talking with Jeff, and also the former director of Deathloop up there, and they were talking about how wild of a combination that is. You know, games like Deathloop, Prey, Dishonored, you don't think of Marvel when you think about games like that, but they're going for it. Third person, and I'm ready. The First Descendant, interested in that. Space Marine 2, probably going to play the first game next year before it drops on September 9th. In the finals, I might give that a shot. But yeah, a really, really solid show in terms of announcements. And awesome to see Baldur's Gate 3 take 6 awards home. Alan Wake 2 got 3 of them. I might be talking about Alan Wake 2 in a couple weeks for my top 10 games. Don't quote me on that. For my top 10 games list of the year. We'll see about that. But, you know, great to see Hi-Fi Rush taking something home. Awesome to see Cocoon grab the best debut indie game. Excited to check that out in the next couple days. And also excited to check out Baldur's Gate 3 finally. I've been waiting for it since it released, hearing all these incredible things about it. The time is now for Baldur's Gate 3, the Game of the Year winner. Congratulations to all of the games and the developers who were nominated for these awards. And congratulations to all the developers who had their new games announced at this show. a lot to look forward to. But for now, I gotta leave it right here. This has been my recap of the Game Awards 2023 that just went down. Lots of great stuff. But until next time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.